to try to enforce that. And this is why countries are kind of turning towards BRICS, because they're tired of us pretty much using our dollar to, well, force our way upon them.
And if they ever
Which we
really
do a lot.
form in a meaningful way, it will end very quickly. I will tell you, for them, they won't be gone very long. I don't think they'll even do it. They're virtually afraid to meet. I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. It won't happen. My first.
Yeah, no fair.
Thank you. And the other night, I will say, with some of the congressmen and women, they wanted that so badly. That was so important to them. I was impressed that they knew what the hell it was, to be honest with you. Please, sir, please, the central bank digital currency. Well, you have to make sure, sir. And I'm saying, what do you know about that? It's amazing the knowledge that people have gained all of a sudden. We had a lot of problems with some of them. I said, we've already got it from the Fed, right? From Commerce and from an executive order. You don't need it a fourth time. Sir, we have to get it. It's amazing. But they knew their subject, though, didn't they, huh? And we helped them out. My first week in office, I signed an executive order to ban the creation of a CBDC.
But all right, guys, now let's go ahead and get into the news real quick here. Because, bro, Obama, well, he may not be going to jail, but people in his DOG who was in the DOG while Biden was, well, not Biden, but Obama was president, might be facing some jail time. Let's get into that.
And with a breaking news alert. This is the Will Cain Show, and we begin with a breaking news alert. Fox News Digital exclusively reporting that the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence to create a narrative that the Kremlin was trying to influence the 2016 presidential election. This is the origins of Russia. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just declassified today these documents, laying out this timeline. Prior to 2016 and the election, officials from across the intelligence community assessed Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections. After President Trump's 2016 victory, early intel assessments proved that there was no foreign manipulation. Now, officials tell Fox that intelligence was then manufactured and politicized to be used as the basis for the year-long Mueller probe.
Hey, I mean, like, hey, for all the times you guys said I was receiving Russian money, I expect an apology. A 300-worded apology. Thank you very much. You can use AI if you want to.
The documents state, quote, hours before the December 8th, 2016 PDB was due to be published, a senior intelligence official abruptly pulled it from the president's briefing book. It was never published. The next day, on December 9th, 2016, the Obama White House convened in a classified NSC meeting with top administration officials to discuss Russia. Following the meeting, an email was then sent from then DNI Clapper's executive assistant to the intelligence community officials with the subject line, POTUS tasking on Russia election meddling. Within hours, the intelligence community made a 180-degree pivot and started drafting an intelligence community assessment that directly contradicted assessments from the previous 6 months, manufacturing and amplifying the Russia hoax narrative. This is what DNI Director Gabbard is saying today. There was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. We'll continue to break down the bombshell as it develops. Back to the breaking news we brought you off the top. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassifying documents that show a, quote, treasonous conspiracy at the highest levels of the Obama administration.
Well, at least we know that they've been working on. So it wasn't the Epstein list. It was pretty much trying to wonder where this whole Russia hoax came from. And it came from the Obama administration, and it was all made up. And they knew it was made up, but they did it to run election interference. Well, we knew it, but hey, they didn't want to believe us. And hey, this ain't Fox saying this. This is the director of national intelligence. So this is Tulsi Gabbard. Remember, not Fox, but this is unclassified documents coming from intelligence.
to manufacture a narrative that Russia was trying to influence the 2016 presidential election. New York Congressman Mike Lawler joins us now. Congressman, it's great to have you on the program. This just broke about an hour or so ago that DNI Gabbard released these documents in a timeline that is incredibly fascinating. To some extent, Congressman, even as early as earlier this week, we broke down and asked the question of whether or not there's not enough focus on President Obama when it comes to Russia, Russia, Russia. What Gabbard is sharing with us now is the day by day and minute by minute change in the intelligence community reports after they go to the White House to meet with Obama, wherein they change the narrative of Russia's involvement in our election.
Well, it's extremely disturbing at every level. And the fact is, President Obama needs to answer for this immediately. There needs to be a very clear and unequivocal answer to how this happened and why exactly his administration, in concert with the intelligence community, was changing reports to make it appear as though that Russia interfered in our elections and to further this entire scam that has been perpetrated on the American people to undermine his successor, President Trump. It is just fundamentally wrong. And everything that the American people have seen over the last decade since Donald Trump came on to the national political.
All right, so it's been confirmed. Russia hoax was all a lie. Now, here's the thing. We all knew the Russia hoax was a lie, and that's the funny thing about it. It's like, all right, now, can we get the Epstein list along with that? Because we've been knew about this, and I'm glad now that, Trump is being vindicated, because there are still Dems to this day that says, oh, he's a Russian stooge. He's working for Russia. This is why he should have been impeached. But no, that's just not the facts, guys. It's just not the facts. But let's go on to CNN, and since the left wants to cover the Epstein files for us. I mean, hey, the one time these guys are finally useful. All right, guys, let's get right into it.
The Justice Department asking a Manhattan court to make years-old grand jury testimony related to the Jeffrey Epstein case public. Paula Reed joins us again. And Paula, you've had a couple minutes now to go through this grand jury ask. Again, for everybody watching, this is just one small part of the Epstein documents writ large. There's a lot that the Trump folks are not asking to release. But on this small part, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I wanted to see what argument they were going to make here to this judge. They're arguing that all of this is in the public interest. And I will say the Justice Department has not gotten a lot right on the messaging about this effort. But here it appears that the Attorney General Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, they're at least striking the right tone. Look, I don't know if this is going to work, but what they're writing here, they're saying, quote, public officials, lawmakers, pundits, and ordinary citizens remain deeply interested and concerned about the Epstein matter. They are noting the fact that in other places they have released portions of grand jury transcripts after concluding that the Epstein case qualifies as a matter of public concern. After all, Jeffrey Epstein, they say, is, quote, the most infamous pedophile in American history. The facts surrounding the Epstein case tell a tale of national disgrace. They argue the grand jury records are thus critical pieces of an important moment in our nation's history. They also argue,
they have so many victim witness testimony and all that good stuff that's been honestly neglected. So yes, this is honestly why I'm actually happy. I'm actually happy that the left is not letting this go. Like mainstream media, yeah, please keep on it. You were low-key working in our interest, even though you're doing it for the wrong reason. But it's all good though. It's all good. And shout out to my man Vlastin. He said short video about Alberta and Sasquatch, bro, splitting from Alberta and I'm not even gonna try you, Vlad, but splitting from Canada and joining the USA. Alberta's GDP alone is 16 billion a year, with oil and cattle raising. It's crazy. I remember Steven Crowder was talking about that. He was pretty much trying to make a whole pitch. The man made a whole video pitching to Alberta, going like, you know what? You don't got to be a part of Canada's collapse. You can come over here. We'll treat you right. We'll set you up with a nice American flag, get you your own little star on the flag, and come over here and benefit us. We won't send you into socialist destruction. Doesn't that sound like a good option?
argue that they understand there are privacy interests for victims and accusers, and they believe that a lot of the privacy concerns are diminished by the fact that Epstein is, of course, deceased, but they're willing to work with prosecutors to try to redact anything that could potentially impact a victim.
Okay, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen so you can like the video. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, and don't worry, Vlad, I'm gonna go ahead and get that video up now.
So the arguments here, they are well articulated. As you have said, though, this is just a tiny portion of the evidence that exists. And now the judge will likely want to allow those accusers, victims, their lawyers to weigh in on this possibility, because grand jury material is by default confidential. And look, even if the judge decides that he will release some of this, there are still going to be questions about all the rest of the material that the Justice Department itself has the power to release and has not done so.
Right. And just to underline it again for folks, this is the grand jury testimony related to the prosecutions of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The questions and the reason why people want more accountability, Jeffrey Epstein's dead, Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison, is because they're questions of all the other people who may have been involved. They will not necessarily be mentioned in this because the prosecutors were not going after them.
That's exactly right. Highly unlikely that any of those other individuals are mentioned here. But the Attorney General, I really think it's important to note that she said last week that they reviewed this case and they don't believe that they have evidence to go after any third parties. But clearly, the public is not satisfied by that.
Meanwhile, there remain unresolved mysteries surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. Joining us now is award-winning Miami Herald investigative reporter Julie K. Brown. She exposed many horrific details of the Epstein sex trafficking story previously not brought to light. In fact, it was her 2018 story that brought this all back into the fore. She's the author of a great book on the subject that I highly...
Oh, so now you guys are finding the authors and the investigative journalists. Oh, now you guys care about them. Like you didn't care about them when it was Biden, but you know what? It is what it is. Like I said, as long as somebody's reaching out to these people and making an effort to get this, solved or wrapped up here, or at least push enough evidence forward so they have no choice but to release it. Which they say the DOJ is going to release some things, but we'll see about that.
Recommend. It's called Perversion of Justice. The Jeffrey Epstein story came out in 2021. Julie, thanks for joining us again. There's still so many documents about Epstein that can be released outside of what Trump has asked Bondi to ask the judge to release in the grand jury report in the investigation into Ghislaine Maxwell. There's Epstein's autopsy report, financial transactions, FBI investigation, interview transcripts, how the FBI and the Justice Department handled the case back in 2008, how they handled the case in 2019. Why do you think none of this has been made public? And do you think there's going to be more pressure on the president to release such information? Let me just ask you even a more narrow question. What do you, as an investigative reporter, if you could get one tranche of this information that has been held back, delivered right to you for your next scoop, what would you want?
I'd want his financial records, to be honest with you, because I think that's the smoking gun here. Epstein's finances and how he made his money, who he got money from. I honestly think that the way to go with this would be to follow the money and look at his finances. But to go back a little bit, just to this grand jury effort that he is mounting right now. I was able to speak to a couple of victims and lawyers that represent the victims, and they're very skeptical about what's happening here because they believe that there are certain words that are being used by the Justice Department and by the president, words like pertinent and credible, and that those to them are words that mean that they might not be getting everything, even with asking for the grand jury records, because they believe that those kinds of things are being used to siphon off records that maybe they don't consider are pertinent or credible. So they're very skeptical about all this. The other point I want to make about the grand jury records is as far as we know, and my sources in the case have said, is the Justice Department only focused on prosecuting first Epstein, and then when he died, then Maxwell. It was a very narrow investigation. They didn't go into anything beyond that. They didn't go into any other aspect of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. So most of the information that I know about is probably information that's already out there that we know that has been revealed during trial.
Jeffrey Epstein's former attorney, David Schoen, who also represented President Trump during his second impeachment trial, said this earlier today on CNN. Take a listen.
There is no Epstein client list. That I can tell you, that lists names of people who he purportedly took to an island with young girls or any place else with young women. I can assure you he would have used that to his advantage if there were. And I can assure you the accusers who were involved in those situations, if they were involved with fill in the blank, some famous person, they would have sued by now. Their lawyers are very aggressive and have made millions off of those lawsuits.
What's your response?
I mean, the one, they could always pay them off, make them disappear or disappear them. And then I remember, what one of the victims was saying, there was like, yo, a lot of these girls are afraid to come out. They literally watched this man get away with anything. Like shake down royalty, world leaders, American politicians, and these girls witnessed this stuff. So a lot of these girls, bro, they're scared to speak out because they've seen the power or the network that Epstein is a part of. They don't want no parts of it, or they don't want that network coming after them.
Oh, gosh. They did sue. They sued a lot of powerful men.
Yes, and they did sue. And then a lot of these guys either settled or disappeared them. Or like I said, the case just got swept under the rug. I mean, there's a lot of cases to this.
Just don't know about it, because when you sue somebody that powerful, they settle. And so there were plenty of lawsuits that the victims filed against these powerful men. That's part of what their lawyers did, and it's been all settled all quietly, and we just don't know about it. So that's just simply not true.
Schoen says he met with Epstein 9 days before Epstein was found dead in his cell in 2019, and they discussed several topics, including Trump. Take a listen.
I specifically asked him about Donald Trump, and he was adamant in making clear that he had no bad information about Trump. Remember, Trump had thrown him out of his club years earlier. He wasn't happy about the idea of Trump being falsely accused, because Trump was one of the names being thrown around then.
Now, there's still a lot unknown about Trump and Epstein's relationship, although nothing illegal has credibly been put forward. But according to the Wall Street Journal's news story, there's this letter bearing Trump's name with a drawing, a crude sketch of a naked woman that was part of this birthday book for Epstein in 2003. Again, that's 2 years before Epstein.
A letter they did not release at all. And I believe the letter has been released now, but is obviously a hoax. It's obviously a hoax that these guys are about to pay money for. Wall Street Journal, I don't even know why you did it to yourself. But hey, it is what it is.
Was ever accused of anything untoward with underage girls. The Wall Street Journal says the letter concludes with the line, quote, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Again, President Trump vehemently denies this. He writing on Truth Social, quote, "These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures." He's also filing this libel suit against the Wall Street Journal and News Corp and Rupert Murdoch. On the drawings, just as a side note, here's a sketch Trump drew in 2005 of the New York City skyline. It was sold at an auction for nearly $30,000 in 2017.
Really?
But regardless, what questions do you have when it comes to the president?
$30,000? Oh my God. $30,000, bro. I could have drew way better than that. Bro. I'm sorry, that is funny though. Like, let's keep it real. $30,000, guys, for this.
2017. But regardless, what questions do you have?
It's art, guys. You can't understand.
When it comes to the president and Epstein and their relationship?
Well, let me just set the record straight. I know what he said that Epstein told him when he was in prison, but Epstein told his own brother, and his brother has been public about this, that he told him that if the public knew everything that he knew about Trump, they would have to cancel the election. And that's his brother's words, not mine. So there is something there. I'm not saying it means that the president did anything illegal or he was involved with Epstein's operation and all. But the story that he told his brother is different from the story that he told that lawyer, number one. The other point I wanted to make is, he also said there's no list. I agree that there probably isn't a list, but my understanding is that Epstein kept files, and he did keep files on
Yeah, I
people.
can't wait.
I don't know whether the Justice Department got their hands on those files, but Epstein had some kind of records. It might not have been, and I don't believe it was, in a formal list that everybody.
And all right, guys. Now, as I get the Vlad's video ready up here, let's have a quick comedic interlude with this funny Obama clip here. Because, Obama came out and said, guys, all straight guys should have a gay best friend or a gay friend. And I was like, I can do a lesbian one, but a gay one, no. Like, can I trust a gay man to stand beside me? No, not really. But I know he damn well gonna stand behind, bro. I know he definitely want to stand behind me. I know that. Beside me, I don't know though. But let's get right back to it. And all right, now that's enough of that. Let's get over to Vlad.
It's me, Dr. Steve, your back porch professor, here to help you make sense of a rapidly changing world. And my, is it ever changing, particularly in the Great White North? Saskatchewan and Alberta just dropped a nuclear announcement that could literally split Canada in half. I want to talk to you about this because this is huge. Literally, while we were all sleeping, these two provinces united in a way that hasn't happened since Canadian